In this video, I'll show you 3 simple steps that I use that stops my roasted carrots coming out looking like this. By the end of this video, you'll know how to cook juicy, plump, roasted carrots that look more like this. You can apply these steps to any roasted carrot recipe. Think of it as a technique you can use with your own recipes to elevate not only your carrots, but other roasted root veg as well. As I share these tips with you, I'll also share my favourite recipe for roasted carrots, because why not? And lastly, I'll show you how I get them done ahead of time to make my whole cooking process easier on the day. So, first things first, I like my carrots peeled. If you prefer them with the skin on, then this recipe will work exactly the same. So do it as you like to do it. The first trick I use for plump, juicy, roasted root veg is all in the cutting. And this is where a lot of people make the first mistake. I think bigger is better for roasting. This gives the carrots more breathing room to work with when they're getting roasted. And remember, they will shrink by at least 30% once cooked. The carrots I've got here have a pretty consistent girth. But you know how the root end usually tapers down to a point? These parts I like to keep whole like this. And as for the main body of the carrots, I cut it in half like this. This gives me more even sizes to work with, and these end bits roast much better when cut like this. This little detail seems so simple that maybe it wouldn't be effective, but I guarantee you if you cut those smaller root ends in half like the rest, then they'll be the pieces that come out dry and wrinkled after roasting. Next, I'm going to prepare my aromatics. I'm going to use the peel of an orange and pick the leaves from 2 rosemary stems. These flavours are a great combination with carrots. Also thyme, fennel, sage, lemon, and most other citrus fruits, maybe excluding limes, would work great as well. I'm going to save the orange flesh and the rosemary leaves for later. The next step is going to ruffle a few feathers, but hear me out, because I think it's the key step to guarantee not having dry, wrinkly roasted carrots. And I'll explain why in a minute. So into a pot, I'm putting the carrots, the orange peel and the rosemary stalks. Cover them with cold water and add a little salt. I'm going with this much, I don't know, like half a teaspoon at a guess. Then over to the stovetop. And place that pan onto a high heat. Bring it up to a boil. Once boiling, turn the heat down to a simmer and continue to cook for another 3 minutes. I'm not really trying to cook the carrots in this moment. All I'm really looking to do is hydrate them. I'll definitely receive some fruity comments for this down below, but this is just a more basic way of how chefs roast vegetables in professional kitchens. I would generally use an oven like this and control the humidity whilst the veg is roasting. But I don't have that option on my home oven, and I'm guessing most of you don't either. If you do, then you can set your oven to around 30% humidity and you can skip this parboiling step altogether. And if you don't like boiling your veg, then of course you can use a steamer. I would steam them for around 5 minutes. Okay, so my carrots have had their 3 minutes in the water, and as you can see, they're still very firm in the centre. Drain them off or scoop them out onto a tray with all the rosemary stalks and orange peel as well. And I'm not worried about getting a little water on the tray. It's going to help me out in a minute. Then the next trick is so simple, and I'm sure everyone knows about it, but no one ever does it. I'm adding some olive oil, not a crazy amount, and a little salt. Then the trick is to mix everything really well so every nook, cranny and corner is thinly coated in oil. I think a lot of people know to do this, but skip it because they don't want to get oil all over their hands. But this is a critical step, and if there's any dry, unoiled sections, they will be the first to dry out and shrivel up. Also, trying to do this with utensils doesn't really work that well. It is possible, but it can be a bit clumsy. So if you're really against getting your hands in there, then you can toss them in the bowl with the oil and seasoning. But this just creates more washing up. The way I think about it is, olive oil is good for your skin, I want to have soft hands, so there's no harm done. Now into roast at 200 Celsius, 390 something F, for around 10 to 15 minutes. Because they've been parboiled, they can handle an aggressive roasting a lot better than if they were just roasted from raw. This exact method, step for step, works great for parsnips as well, and it's not too different from what I do with my roast potatoes either. So from here it's just a matter of moving the carrots around the tray and flipping them over, so different parts are touching the base of the tray and getting exposed to different parts of the oven. I'm flipping mine every 10 minutes or so. The more frequent I do this, the more even my roasting will be. This is my second flip and I'm around 20 minutes into the roasting so far. The orange peel has had its time and it's starting to get well roasted, so I'm pulling it out. It's given me all its fresh, zesty flavour, so I no longer need it. You can cook the carrots however you like from this stage. I like them with a little bite in the centre, so I'm going to put them in the oven for another 5 minutes. If you like them softer, then just roast them longer. Once again, because of the steps we've taken in this recipe, they can handle a harder roasting without dehydrating and shrivelling up. This cooking method gives a lot of breathing room, because it widens the gap between cooked all the way through to the centre and dehydrated on the exterior. When they're close to how you like them cooked, bring them out of the oven. At this stage, I add a little honey. I don't like too much because carrots are already sweet. The rosemary leaves that have been finely chopped, and the juice of half the orange. Once again, I like to mix them well so everything is evenly coated. Adding the rosemary late like this helps to keep its fresh, vibrant flavour, and this gives it no chance of burning and turning into those little brittle wood chips. It's at this point that I could let everything cool on the tray and keep it to be finished off in the oven later, when the rest of the meal is ready. Or continue roasting for another 5 to 10 minutes to finish cooking and caramelise the honey if I want to serve it now. After another 7-ish minutes of roasting, I have beautifully caramelised carrots, glazed with honey and orange and coated in fresh rosemary. They're plump and juicy and cooked all the way through with just a little bite in the centre. You can follow these steps for whatever root vegetable you're roasting, whether it's parsnips, swedes, sweet potatoes, beetroot, and it works great with fennel as well. Just change the aromatics to whatever flavour you want it to be and follow the steps. Cut them on the larger side and to even sizes. Give them some humidity by parboiling or steaming. Coat them all over in oil so there's no dry patches at all. All of these steps allow you to roast at a higher heat to get the caramelization we want on our roasted veg. These are some of the little 1% that chefs use to amplify and enhance the flavors and textures of vegetables. Go check this video out next for more tips on how to improve another part of your meal.